Are you ready to unmute your power? Are you sick and tired of being told to shut up? Welcome to Something to Say with me, Shae, because silence is no longer an option. This is not just a podcast, it's a revolution. This is for the women who are done tolerating mediocrity, done biting their tongues, and done playing small. With bold truths and unfiltered insights, I'll help you rip off that proverbial muzzle, put your stake in the ground, and take back the power you were told to suppress. You were never meant to be silent. The world is waiting to hear your voice. It's time to speak up, and speaking up starts now. Welcome back to Something to Say. This is the show where we expose the lies that have kept us silent for far too long, where we light the fire inside and we let it burn. I'm your host, Shae, and in today's episode, we're diving into one of the most powerful topics that silence our fire, the dangerous trap of familiarity, and how it can keep us stuck in a life that does not fuel us. A life that may be safe, but the truth is, staying small and settling for less doesn't keep you safe. Settling and sacrificing your growth doesn't make you noble. I'm sure you've heard the quote, familiarity breeds contempt. Well, contempt is a death sentence. It's corrosive. It poisons our relationships, disconnects us from our purpose, and it slowly eats away at our sense of joy and self-worth. Amelia Earhart said, "The most difficult thing is the decision to act. The rest is merely tenacity." It's so easy to settle into what's comfortable. That is the devil you know. But when we do that, we silence our fire, our passions, and our dreams. The what-if wonderment of life becomes regret for never having tried. We lose hope, we give up, and we just exist. We stifle our potential and we stop growing, and that is not why we're here. You may call it a life, but are you really living? Do you feel alive? In today's episode, I'm joined by the incredible Alyssa Hawn, a human design expert and Theta Healer, who's here to talk about how we can break free from conditioning and the comfort zone and tap into our true power. So buckle up. It's time to unleash your fire. Alyssa, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to talk with you.
Hi, Jamie. I'm really excited to be here too. Your show, it means a lot to me because I am a passionate believer in women's voices and that they're meant to be heard. So I'm excited, to talk with you.
Love that. I love that. And I love your work. And I have worked with Alyssa. She has helped me with some of my conditioning. So let's talk about conditioning. We're all conditioned and we're all programmed. And I believe it's our biggest job in this lifetime to decondition and program us from beliefs that no longer serve us. Maybe they did once, but beliefs like women should be sugar and spice and smile all the time, or that women are too emotional to be true leaders. What's your take on conditioning?
Yeah, or that women's voices don't matter, right? My take on conditioning, right? My belief is that conditioning is basically all the ways we've been taught to be somebody that we're not. And it's these beliefs, these thoughts, these patterns that we've picked up from all over the place. So from the media, from our family, from our ancestors, from school, right? And these beliefs pull us away from who we truly are. And they're what keep us small. And that brings us into the topic that we're talking about today, the devil you know, right? This almost push we feel to stay small because we don't believe in ourselves, and it's because we've been taught that our voices don't matter.
Yeah. It took me probably up until I want to say 4 years ago, maybe even less, to realize and believe that my needs and wants actually matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm in my 50s, so that was nearing midlife. I've lived a lot of life up until that point, not thinking my needs mattered. That's wild. And it wasn't conscious. So
Right.
a lot of this conditioning is unconscious, right?
Oh, it's totally unconscious. Like we, of course, in our conscious mind drives about 5% of our brain. We think, of course, women have a voice. If we like, say we're in a Toastmasters group, right? The public speaking practice group, and we go up to speak, right? We know consciously that this is a safe space right? That people are here to support you and not judge you. But then why did we get so nervous? Why do we break into a sweat and start to shake and our voices quaver, right? It's because subconsciously, the 95% of our brain that is driving how we act, right? Like this is what is controlling us. And so there are so many beliefs that are in the subconscious. It's like a filing system, right? Of everything we've ever experienced. So if you were maybe reciting a poem in your elementary school at age 7 and you stumbled over a word and some kids laughed at you, right? You're going to learn like it's not safe to talk because I'm going to be laughed at. And so you later, as a 40-year-old, you might start to keep yourself small, right? But there's also subconscious beliefs that go even deeper than that. So I work, I'm an intuitive, and I get information regarding people's ancestral patterning that keeps them small. Right. So if you are in a
Interesting.
culture, yeah. So if, and Jamie, we did some work around this too, but if you're in a culture, right, where women were taught that you're just here to serve the husband, you're here to serve the man, then of course your subconscious mind is going to be like, my needs don't matter. My voice doesn't matter. It's my husband's voice that matters. It's my husband's needs that are more important. Right. And so
Yes.
consciously we can think, oh, we should be equal. It makes sense that we should be equal. But subconsciously, if we aren't there, if we don't believe it, then we're going to keep ourselves small. And that was my experience too. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, and I feel like with a lot of women who say things like, "Oh, women are too emotional to be the president," or, um, women can't run companies because they can't make the hard decisions. I know that that is conditioning. I know that that was
Yeah.
like passed down. That is not based on experience because we don't have enough experience seeing women in leadership positions. We just don't as a
Yeah.
collective in a big visible space like being the president or the CEO. Some people may get to witness that and experience that, but
Yeah.
collectively there's that is a belief that has
Mm-hmm.
just been passed down to women to convince us we don't belong there.
Yes.
When
And
I
that's
think
why
we
shows like
actually do belong there.
we do, right? And that's why shows like this are so important because it showcases women who do have a voice, who have, transcended and found these positions of power.
Yeah.
And so when more people witness that and experience it, it starts to become more possible for those who don't think it's possible,
Yeah,
right?
and I will say for myself, for many years I thought it was just part of my personality to be quiet and to be small.
Yeah,
And
totally.
it
Yeah.
wasn't. That's not my personality. My personality is so much bigger than that. And it wants to be involved and I want to be out there and I want to be engaged. But my conditioning from my childhood was you don't speak unless you're spoken to. And when I
Yeah.
would speak, I would often get in trouble for saying the wrong thing because I would tell the truth, right? And so truth
Yeah.
telling would get us in trouble. So I learned to stay small, to stay safe, and to stay
Yeah.
quiet, to stay safe. And that's where this is the devil. I knew for a long time
Hmm.
that that kept me safe. And it served me well in some ways, obviously,
Yeah.
until it didn't, until it felt really out of alignment with me. So how can people start to recognize the difference between their true personality and
Yeah.
conditioning?
That's a great question. So I'm going to answer this in two ways. The first is notice how your health is. If you are feeling chronically ill all the time, if you're feeling like you have sore throats a lot or you have an autoimmune disorder, right? That's a big signpost that you are living out of alignment somewhere, that somewhere your truth is getting bogged down, right? And that you are not being your true self. So illness, I think, is like the biggest indicator that something you are not living your truth in some way. So
Oh,
paying attention.
it's
The
profound.
other thing that I help people identify what is really you is I use a tool called human design. And so human design is the science of differentiation. It's the study of how we are all different, how our energy is meant to play out in the world. And so there are 2 billion different combinations of charts,
Wow.
right? And
Yeah.
so there's many different kinds of ways that we can be, that we can show up as in the world. And then there's a spectrum within your own chart of high expressions of your energy and low expressions of your energy. So for example, in my human design chart, I have a gift for public speaking, right? And the high expression of that energy is being able to communicate these emotional truths with ease and with clarity. The low expression is that fear of public speaking and thinking I'm not good enough. Like nobody's gonna care what I'm going to say. That's the low expression, right? So there's a spectrum, right? And I help people understand that spectrum, what their gifts are, how to embody the high expression, and where they're operating in the low expression. And if you're operating in the low expression of your energy, that is okay. Because how can you really get to the highest point of your gifts, right? If you have not embodied and learned from the lowest points, right?
That's so
So
interesting.
yeah. So I help, that's how I help people understand, right, what their gifts are. And so some people are really surprised because in human design, these gifts can be unconscious. So people can, like my public speaking gift, that's completely unconscious within me. Growing up, I always wanted to be a speaker, but I had, that limited thinking, like there's no way I can be a speaker. I'm going to embarrass myself if I open my mouth, right? And so, anyway, where was I going with this? I completely lost track, but anyway.
It's
So
okay.
you got the high, you got the high expression, right? Or
Yep.
it's the unconscious, right? You got the unconscious happening within you. And I didn't realize this, but seeing my human design chart for the first time and learning I had this gift for public speaking, I was like, oh, great. Okay. So what can I do to tap into the highest potential here? And so I see people all the time with unconscious gifts for things like leadership, how to make, corrections so that things can be their most vital and vibrant, beautiful form, right? There
Nice.
are all kinds of gifts that people
Yeah.
have, right? Jeannie,
Yes.
you have, I know a little bit about your chart. You have this gift of charisma, right? And channeling enormous power into what you believe is right.
Yeah. I do have very strong convictions. And
Yeah.
yes, when something feels right, there's no stopping me with that for sure. I think also in my chart is something around speaking and words, and my words have a lot of power, which is so interesting that my
Mm-hmm.
childhood, that was stifled so
Yes.
strongly. And I've had to learn how to use my voice. I've had to
Yeah.
grow my confidence in speaking, even just to people one on one or even in small groups, let alone on a platform like this where I could potentially be seen by a lot of people. So it's work.
Yeah.
It takes work, right? To like you may have these gifts and our programming can stifle but it takes some work, right? So how do people
Yeah.
start to step into those highest potentials for themselves?
Yes, examining your limiting belief systems that are keeping you stuck and small. And
Yeah.
so there are many ways you can do this. But what I find when you try and do this consciously, it's really hard to get the depth of perspective. So what I use is this technique called theta healing. And theta healing is a meditation technique where I connect to source energy and I request information, right? And I ask the creator, God, source, whatever you want to call this energy, to show me, what is keeping this person stopped or
Yeah.
stuck,
Yeah.
right? And so, and I asked also to examine their belief systems. And so I use a combination of digging, intuitive questioning with the person I'm working with, but also getting information about old ancestral patterns or old past life experiences. So those come through and I communicate them in real time with the people I'm working with so that they get this depth of understanding. They can learn where these limiting beliefs come from, take the wisdom from these experiences, and leave behind any limited thinking that is keeping them stuck.
I did a session with you,
Yeah.
and the the thing that really stuck out and still I think about to this day is I don't even remember what you were exploring initially, but you talked about pig guts. Do you remember
Oh,
that?
no,
And you're
I
like, I've
don't.
never
I don't.
you were like, I've never seen this before, but it was like pig guts. You saw that like falling out of my stomach.
Oh,
And
funny.
I think you're talking about shame. Like there's a lot of shame around sales and marketing for me, like doing that because
Right.
it's always felt weird to do sale. Like I don't know. I just have beliefs around salespeople and
Mm-hmm.
that they can be tricksters or, con men or whatever. And so you were helping me get past those beliefs. Um, but yeah, it's so interesting. I loved our session because I learned a lot about myself and where some of these beliefs came from. You helped me uncover that. And I feel less, I don't even think about it now, actually. Like, my boyfriend and I were at a shop and we were talking about opening a booth at this shop, and he told me later, he's like, "You totally sold yourself." And that was right
Yeah.
after our session. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
did it. I didn't think I was selling myself. I was just telling her what I do and what we do. So clearly it works. Like, I didn't even realize that I was selling
Yes.
myself right after that. So
And that's
that,
that's the funny part about theta healing. It's like you kind of just forget about it, that it was even a problem or a belief in the first place. It just sort of disappears. And when your energy changes,
yeah.
right, everybody else's energy around you also changes. So you're able to walk through the world with more grace, ease, comfort in your
Yeah.
skills, right? And when we are all like that, when we all operate in that way, just imagine how loving and compassionate and wonderful and creative our universe could be.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so,
And we
yeah,
also like carry beliefs like from generations, right? So it's not even
yeah,
something necessarily we were taught or told. It's passed down generation to generation. Pain is often passed or beliefs are passed. And so
yeah,
I think some of what I was feeling was passed on from my parents, my grandparents around these beliefs, and you helped me heal those things. So I don't feel that weight, even though I didn't feel the weight before. It's kind of like chronic pain. You don't know it's there until it's gone.
right, right,
And so there's
exactly.
a lightness to around selling and marketing for me now, which is really nice that it doesn't feel like a weight on my shoulder, or it doesn't feel bad to go out
Good.
and sell myself or sell my services or any of that. So thank you for that. And
You're welcome.
I think it's amazing the work that you can do. I love hearing about it and learning about it. I love energy work.
Hmm.
So what advice would you give someone who feels trapped in this devil they know, the familiar comfort
Hmm.
zone, and they're afraid of stepping into their fire, their true power? Because Brene Brown says we're really truly afraid of our own power,
Yeah,
not of being, oh, I forget what she says, what people think we're afraid of, but we're actually afraid of our power. So
yeah.
what advice would you give?
So that was me, right? Like totally stuck. 5 years ago, I was in a marriage. The man was, fine. He's a good man, but like, uh, I just wasn't happy. I was staying small,
Right.
right? And I didn't know what to do next. And so the thing that helped me the most was actually going to a theta healer and seeking outside help. So my guidance would be find somebody you resonate with, who's been through what you've experienced, who's doing the work, right? And who can see you, who can see your highest potential and help guide you to what is next.
I love that. Two comments on that. One, I always feel like I see people's highest potential just naturally. And that
Yeah.
was part of when I was in corporate. I loved that because I could help bring that out if they
Yeah.
wanted to, right? If they want, they obviously have a
Right.
part in that.
Exactly.
So if they want to be their greatest self, it was fun to help them get there. But the other thing I love what you just said was you were in a marriage and he was a good man. And, I think a lot of people stay in these marriages or jobs because the other person isn't a bad person or there hasn't been a big deal, like somebody didn't cheat, or it's like they're waiting for a reason to leave
Yeah.
so they don't have to be the villain. So they don't have to be the bad guy and just say, this isn't enough for me. So why are we
Right.
so afraid to say this isn't enough for me?
for me for me it was deeply subconscious, right? Actually it was
Yeah.
but it's really this man. I have a good great co-parenting relationship with him now. We share a son together, right? And I see him as this amazing parent, but for so long he was this, like, I made him to be this villain, this devil, so I could leave,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
But it's interesting uncovering it. I had a lot of my own subconscious patterning, like my ancestors. Here's an example: my grandfather held my grandmother at gunpoint at one point and threatened to kill her,
He
right?
left.
So if she left, so he didn't kill her, right? She actually said, go ahead and shoot me, right? He didn't do it. but
Like,
right
whatever
but
way out, I'll take it.
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my
right, like,
gosh.
So
Wow.
this happened, right? And so I had this limiting belief too, that, and with my first husband, I've been married twice, right? That they were going to kill me if I
Oh,
left him.
wow.
And my first husband, I like actually like went halfway across the country to get away, and I was still afraid, right? And that looking back, it's preposterous. That is preposterous. Like, but it was a belief system that I had inherited, right? And so
Wow.
when by examining that and taking accountability for my own stuff, I stopped seeing these men as villains, right? And when my energy changed and I was able to forgive them and forgive myself for putting them in that position, everything changed. And especially with my second husband, who I now have the co-parenting relationship with. I don't think we've had an issue for like 2 years.
Wow, that's great. That's
Yeah.
incredible. That is so interesting. And so I've done a lot of like videos over the years trying to share some insights I get because I meditate and I get visions or messages.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that one of the most profound meditations I had was Mary Magdalene came to me and told me the the solution to all our problems would be to center ourselves.
Yeah.
But we've been taught that being self-centered is a bad thing. And so I think it's how we frame it and think about it, right? We get that word selfish. It's selfish to leave, to go seek your own happiness because you're disrupting so many others' lives in that decision. But if we're not taking care of our own self, our own alignment, our own truth, honoring that, who is going to? And so I just want to say to people who are listening and just questioning where they are and if they're in the right place. What I did for myself was I just got curious about my truth. I was like, if I took all the beliefs and thoughts and judgments away of other people in my life, like what is the truth here? Like in your situation, the truth was he wasn't going to kill you if you left.
Right.
The truth is you just wanted out. And
Yeah.
that was enough. That was okay, right? And same with me. I left my first husband. Took me a long time to get there, a long time to convince
Mm,
myself it was okay to go. I had two little ones. They were 8 and 4 at the time, and I was completely financially dependent on him. So leaving was a big, big decision. But I had reason. I could have pointed the finger. I could have said, you did this and he's done that. And I have all these reasons to leave. But the truth was just the truth. I wanted out. I was
yeah.
not happy. And I think we need to accept, women especially, need to say, that's enough. That's
Yeah.
okay to put yourself at the center of your world and say what I need and want first. And
Yeah.
other people will deal with it. They
Yeah.
will.
They
You
might
know,
judge
and
you, but
they may judge you, but you know
but
what?
that's not does you'll get through it. I've gotten through it. You've gotten through it. Like,
Yes.
and we've
Yes.
become better on the other side and created new circles of people who, empower and support us even more.
Yes. Living
So
a life that is authentic, authentically aligned with you and your truth brings a peace that no money, no
mhm.
relationship, no, it doesn't compare. Having that peace and knowing you're on your right path, like this is right for me. And everyone else will adjust and it's okay. I'm not talking about doing harm to people. Obviously,
Right.
my, like, I would never want to cause harm to other people in my decisions.
Mhm.
But the truth is, I'm not responsible for everybody's reactions to my desire and need to be happy. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping other people can maybe open up to what's possible and
Mhm.
knowing that most of the time it's their beliefs, their conditioning, and our silencing that's keeping us where we don't belong anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love what you said too, Jamie, about centering yourself,
Yeah.
right? And getting a big piece of work that I do is helping people get in touch with their intuition. And because there are so many different ways that intuition operates in different people, right? And
Yes.
we're taught follow your gut, right? Like wait for the signs. Like, how do you know
Yes.
what to do? Right.
Right.
And I help people understand basically what to do per their human design. Right. And that's been so instrumental in me getting the intuitive messages that I hear. when I'm in my sessions with people, right? It's a process. Also, the more you shed off in terms of your limiting beliefs, the clearer your intuition becomes.
Yes, the unbecoming all the things that we've been taught to be and believe and see and think. Yeah, that has been the biggest change for me is like, it's not about becoming who I am, it's about unbecoming who I'm not.
Yeah,
And all those masks, right, that I wore to fit in or to belong when it's okay to be different,
for sure.
yourself and do what makes you happy. And I remember once, I know we're running out of time here. I left my second marriage and I was saying over and over these affirmations of, I'm going to be so happy. Me and my kids are going to be so happy. We're going to live in this great house. I was just trying to create a vision, right, for myself. And the thought was, no, who wants to be friends with happy people? You'll have no friends.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was this really quick passing fleeting thought in my mind. But I was like, whoa, wait a minute. That's a
Yeah.
belief. That's a limiting belief that if you're happy, nobody will want to be your friend. And I
Yeah.
thought about that and I said, okay, well, I'm willing to be happy and I trust that I will attract other happy people then. But it was a conscious thought. I had to change the belief there.
Yes. And you can do it consciously, right? It just
Yeah,
takes a lot of awareness. And that
it
awareness
does.
that you had is really amazing,
Yeah. That's
right?
how I've changed my life in a lot of ways, is those fleeting thoughts that I stop and go, wait a second, that's not true. But
Yeah.
Alyssa, it's been so great. How can people get in touch with you if they want to work with you?
Yeah, please check out my website, alyssahawn.com, or follow me on Instagram, Alyssa Hawn Healing. Yeah, I'd love to get in touch. I love working with people, just to help them be their most authentic, beautiful selves. That's what lights me up. So thank you, Jamie. Thank you for this conversation.
Thank you so much. And I would love to dig into my design, my human design with you more.
Oh, I would
And
love
just,
that.
yeah, I want to see how I can become my greatest self. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Thank you so much, listeners. I hope you got a lot out of this session today. I had such fun time talking with you, Alyssa. We could talk for hours, I'm sure. So, yes, thank you all. And remember, take care of you, because if you don't, who will? So, we'll see you next time. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Alyssa.
Bye.
Bye. You've been listening to Something to Say with me, Jamie Shae, because silence is no longer an option. Catch me live every first and third Wednesday, 10 a.m. Pacific, on transformationtalkradio.com to learn how you too can rip off your proverbial muzzle. Silence was never your destiny. It's time to speak up. Subscribe to my channel to listen first when new episodes drop. Follow me on social media and visit guidedbyjamie.com to join the community that has something to say.